Alright, shed update time. It is now Monday, and for me it is a continuation of Sunday because I did not go to bed last night. I just stayed out here all night and worked. So I am slightly grouchy, but it is all good because I am making much progress. I had to do a lot of freaking work on this thing last night. It was so hammered. Everything was just bent and twisted and rusty and shot. I mean, there's a bunch of stress cracks in it. I had a bunch of rotten spots I had to patch. It was all bent, just hammered. So I spent a lot of time grinding and welding and more grinding and just stuff like that through the whole night. So, but this is what we got. So it is in. I've got it partially welded in. It's about time to go get some form of food. So I'm taking a break, but much progress. It was kind of hurting. I had to go through and like patch this whole seam, this whole edge along the back, because water can get in there where it really can't over here because the end is open. So this was all dicey, and yeah, it was pretty bad. One of these pieces was a section I cut out of the piece that came from here. So I cut this piece out, replaced it, and then I used a corner off of the piece I cut out and threw away to patch the bed. So we're looking at scraps of scraps here, because I don't know how much of the other bed floor I'm gonna need to patch the rear stuff, so I really didn't want to like waste any valuable resources because I don't have any more of that stuff. So I decided to use meager scraps to patch all this, and then I had to replace these. I made these out of some paint test panels from paint class that I snagged, just like square pieces of thick steel. So I made those up. Those came up pretty good. I gotta finish welding it, just so I don't have all sorts of wild heat distortion. I opted to get it all tacked together, weld the end, and then get everything put together, and then weld the rest of the seam, just so it doesn't distort and mess anything else up. So, but yeah, and then I had to patch a bunch of this stuff back here. There was a few of them I had to do, and then just grinding, and there's a couple of nasty stress cracks in there, and there's some over there I still have to weld up. Yeah, it was pretty hammered. And I still have a fair amount to do, and I'm not quite fully pleased with it just because it's a little bit wavy still. I got all the waves out of it, but when I went to put it in here, just like putting it in and kind of standing on it to make it go in place and moving around with it not being welded, put a minor ripple in it, which doesn't really matter, but it's just a little bit annoying seeing as I spent a lot of time to get rid of the ripple. But it's fine, it's just an old Dodge truck. So, and then for this was kind of clever. I've discovered that the prime way to weld this kind of thicker steel is have the have the width of a cutoff wheel gap in between the two pieces. And I've accomplished that by just overlaying the two pieces and just slicing through them both, and then picking out the shards, and there you go, perfectly gapped. So that was slightly big brain. And then I had some other goofiness. I couldn't figure out why there was a pretty nasty gap there and there on both sides. It was out like an inch, and I couldn't figure out what I did wrong. And then I realized that when it's in the truck, the center braces here are supported by the frame, and they weren't. So the whole bed was just kind of like tweaking inwards on itself, pulling that out. So I've got a jack sketchily like propped under this brace right there to kind of support everything, and that that has done a very good job at just kind of bringing everything where it's supposed to be. So, but yeah, and then I got all these ground. I got a carbide bit. Those came out nice. Very happy. Pretty sweet. It's gonna look like nothing happened. So, overall, quite pleased with this whole project. The only real stipulation at the moment is I am dangerously low on welding shielding gas, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get that refilled like sometime soon. I think I'm gonna have enough to finish this section of the floor. I'm definitely not gonna have enough to do really a whole lot in the back section. I'm gonna run out before then, so gotta figure that out. But hopefully I can get this section done today. It's just welding, and there's not really a whole lot of hidden challenges involved in that, so I guess a few more hours of welding and then I can go to sleep. That'll be nice. And then more metal work tomorrow morning. Yay. Alrighty, I guess until more stuff happens.